As I say, I don't like to be rude about other people's work, but perhaps I should be sometimes. Idiosyncratic, maybe, or should we say that? Is that being polite? Anyway. So someone was paying attention. My mate Gary said to me, he said, that's an A post, that's a B post, isn't it? And I said, you're right. So last week we did a film about an A post, well, which is actually a B post. So there we are. You found me out. I'm dyslexic. So I've always had trouble with my ABCs. But no, joking apart, I am dyslexic. 15% of the population are dyslexic, and one of the travesties of that is that up to 30% of the prison population are dyslexic. But if you take into that account other issues with numeracy and literacy, it is up to 50% of the prison population that have trouble with that stuff. So it makes you wonder what's going on in society, doesn't it? So, you know, for want of a decent education, perhaps we could have the prisons not so full, because it's not, you know, they can't all be wrong uns, people that are in there that can't read and write properly, or certainly people that are dyslexic. So yeah, so that's the thing. I don't know what it means. Perhaps they'll put me in prison for getting these round the wrong way, but perhaps I ought to be. But yeah, so anyway, enough of my soapbox socialism. You didn't come here for that. I thought we'd actually look at the A post, seeing as we managed to get that all the way through into a film about the wrong thing. So we'd look at the right thing. So obviously we got repairs on the A post to do, nothing like what we had to do on the B post. So yeah, so what we're doing is this sort of area, as you can see, is all rusted away. This was all full of sort of filler work and stuff. These bolts are just to hold the door on when we want to line things up. They're not quite the right size, so we don't worry about that. They normally have proper pins in there, which I've made some for the other car, and I made a spare set for this, which we'll use when we get to. But yeah, it's this area here that's all rusty. Now this is reinforced inside here, which we might strip this down and see if we can get a proper look in there. And if you come around this side, you'll see the hinges are screwed on. Now, this has caused some consternation with people because they try to undo these to take the hinges off. Well, the hinges are actually welded on, and they're not just welded on with these little bits here. They're physically welded on. They're in the post properly. But yeah, if we're talking about repairing, we've got this repair here to do. So I think we should take the whole of this off up to a decent level and remake as required. Now, another quirk of these is where they put these door check straps. So this is the thing that goes onto the door to stop you opening it too far. They're in different positions on different cars, and they even changed the design of them. On some of the early cars, they have a completely different looking thing that sort of slides inside. So rather than a little sort of catch thing that comes out like that, they have a thing that sort of slides all the way in, sort of rotates in. So yeah, it's so typical of Maserati and how they do things. But I was looking at the other side of how this all ends, and I'm trying to work out, you know, how this sort of fits and everything else. And looking at the other side, this actually should sit a bit further forwards. So I think it sits about there. And then, of course, we've got our stainless steel trim that go on. So this would butt up against the bottom of that A post, like that. And of course, that sits a little bit better like that, because you can sort of see where that is. Not quite right, you know, we might have to trim it a bit, but you get the idea. That sits in there like that. So it's all details, all getting it right. So that just seems to sort of travel down onto that when we look at the other side. That continues on and then welds on there. Right, so here we are. We're looking at how this finishes. This was our shape, wasn't it? Now, there looks like there's a bit of lead in there, because that's sort of where that looks like it's had a skim of lead over there, because that's the metal, and then that's something else there, you can see. And then here, again, we've got a swipe of something across there, and it looks like someone's maybe put a plate in there. Now, I think that's lead. That is lead. This is a skim of lead from the manufacturing. we'll knock some of that out and see if we can see what's going on in there. Yes, it's chipping off. So that isn't lead. That's this filler they were using. This was all when it was in California. We think it had a sort of driveway restoration by somebody who wedged loads of this weird sort of metallized Bondo in it. Nasty stuff, really. As I say, I don't like to be rude about other people's work, but perhaps I should be sometimes. Anyway, there's a big lump of it. There you see, so it's all coming off. We ain't got smelly vision, but I can smell that. It smells of Bondo. Let's try and get in there a bit more. Yeah, look, we knocked right through that, haven't we? Something's going on in there, isn't it? It looks like they've let a plate in here. If we can look this side, we can see that plate behind here, where this is there. So that's original. That's original. These are original spot welds, which will show some of the, how it's sort of assembled. Then that is where there's been rust, and then someone's let that in there. This piece. So again, this is what we're working with. This is what we've got to work out. Is that's something someone else has done. So we want that out of there. And this blob of MIG weld, I think, is where they've sort of held it on with something. They might have welded it from this side, or they might have come in from here. I don't know. Something ain't quite right there, but that's what we're working on. So anyway, so that's what we're looking at, getting that in the right place. So let's get that lined up in the right place. So we've got a datum, and then we can work out how we're going to repair that side. But yeah, whilst we're about it, I mean, we looked at this on one of our early reviews, haven't we? This mess in here. I mean, this is where a weld's gone through there, where they've taken this off. So they've deconstructed this. You can see these little welds here, and you can see what's left of where they've drilled the spot welds out, like I was saying the other side. But they've actually welded it on here with these little welds, you see. So this has been got at. That's why we got. As I said, we've got to do work on this side. We're nowhere near doing this side. We want to do the other side first. But you can see that where the spot welds have been drilled out, because we were looking at all that before, weren't we? And I made one of these, didn't I, ready for this side. Yes, I'm all for prison reform, but perhaps they should be in restoration prison, these people. It's not right, is it? Silly sods. I think that's about right there. So where do we have it? That's where I had it before, which brings that over here. It ain't far off, is it really there? I don't think we need to, I think we're working on about the right thing there. I think that ends up about there. I think we'll be all right. So I think we can repair that at that. And it's understanding these things, which takes a while. And sometimes you need to be around a few. Luckily, I've been around a few of these now. We've got 4 of them that I'm mucking around with. Well, more than mucking around, but you know what I mean. So I'm getting to know them. Right, I think if we slot this out, if it will, the gas bottle's in the way. That's right, I'm out. Right, okay, that's that out. Now we can see this reinforcing, or I can feel it. I don't know if we'll see it. Let's see if we can get a shot of that. So yeah, we can see this reinforcing for the hinge here. So that's the reinforcing for the hinge. And then that's the sort of internal strength, or part of the box section of this A post, isn't it? So I think we've got to do a bit of deconstructing going on in here to see what's going, because we've got some rot in there, haven't we? We're going to have to deal with that. So we're going to have to do a little bit of messing around in here to get that right. And then you can see where it's welded on these hinges. As I say, that's how they are. It's just how they are, really. But it's intriguing, this, because you've got another piece of metal here, then this piece here where it goes on to this sort of box section. So quite what that is, this is obviously this piece, that's a bit of triangulation, but what's that one? Why has it got that in there and then this over it? And it's very strange how they make these cars. It makes sense when you start to get in amongst them, but it does seem quite a sort of I don't know, rough's not the right word, but it's certainly artisan. It's a bit, yeah, it's yeah, idiosyncratic maybe, or should we say that? Is that being polite? Anyway, right, so I think I'll work out how to do that. Right, I think I'm going to slice into this to see what we got. A bit brutal, but I think it's the thing to do. Otherwise we're not going to know what we're dealing with, and we're not going to know how to overcome it. Now I think I'm going to use this wood chisel and get in there like that. Let's see what we got. Right, so we've got spot welds through here. In light of what we're doing, we'll just split that down there with the chisel, and then we'll try and unfold this, and then we can tidy up that edge afterwards. I think otherwise I'll be drilling lots of little holes in it. I don't think we really need to do that. Now I suspect this attaches to some reinforcements inside, which is why it's being a little bit of a struggle to unpeel. Yeah, you see there's a little spot weld there. I don't have to be too precious with it, but I don't want to completely destroy everything, you know, because I'm obviously, this is a bit of a exploratory. I won't be putting that back on, obviously I'll be putting a new piece on. But as I don't want to do too much damage, so we'll just try and work our way slowly through it, breaking these spot welds off. Right, there we are. So there we can see that reinforcing, which we were talking about. And then we can see how this is welded on. It looks a lot to me like them screws don't do anything. That they literally, they don't seem to be, you know, doing anything. It seems to be welded through here, seems to be welded across the bottom there. And then there's another weld up here by the looks of it. So I think these plates, it's all welded to it. This is all part of it, and then that's welded into here. So I don't think these do anything. I think these screws are literally just for show where you would normally have it. I don't think they're even lining up with anything. I think what we do, we'll undo one. Let's try and undo one. Sure, I've said that before. This was all to do with the space race, wasn't it? Kennedy saying we're going to go to the moon. I'm sure I said that. Google it, it's quite interesting. But not so interesting that I can remember the story. You have to work it out for yourself. So we've got our TP, so that's a Chicago pneumatic air riveter. That had been used for in the aerospace industry. And then this thing, I don't know what you call these, but they're great. And it's an American thing. I had to get this shipped from America. I got it on American eBay. They don't sell them in England, but you can attach them to one of these, and then you can put different sockets on it, different attachments on it, and then you'll see what you do with them. But they are amazing things when you can't undo stuff. When you're struggling to undo things, this really is a really good tool. So you put it in there. Oh yeah, look, you see, look, it's so wonderful. It undoes it without even trying. They're obviously already loose, that is. Right, let's see if this is, look, what's going on? I must have freed them off before. They're all loose, right, I must have been at these before. I said it's a magic tool, didn't I? Right, so right, okay, that one's, no, that's not even tight, is it? Right. Yeah, but anyway, what you do with this is you would give it a bit of an oomph with this. And then you turn that, but with seized up things, it's an amazing tool. But it's obviously so magic, it undone these just by being, just the threat of it was enough to get them to come undone. I was expecting them to be all seized up. Yeah, maybe there is yeah, no, that is that. So that, yeah, so this is part of the hinge here, and then that is a separate plate behind, isn't it? It must be, yeah. So it's deeper. So that's a separate plate. So yeah, these do screw on, and then they're obviously welded as well into place. So I think what they do is they screw them in place and then weld them as well. And I don't quite know why. I don't expect we'll ever know why they did that. I've obviously been on these before, haven't I? Maybe it was undoing these when I first realised they welded them on. I can't remember because I've been on this a while. This isn't a new project. This has been here a little while. Maybe we freed all these off before. They've certainly got some bruising in them, so someone's been at them. Whether it was us or not, I can't remember. So yeah, but you can see the hinge won't move. It doesn't go anywhere. I'm convinced that that's there's a weld through there. That's all welded through there. You can see the weld there. Look, there's a weld there and all the way around. So I wonder if this is, they just use it. They just assemble it like this, and they put these in for trial fitting. And once they're happy with it, they weld them on. I don't know. I'm not sure how they do this. I don't know if it's really that relevant, if it really matters. But yeah. Anyway, that's what it is. So we'll have some work to do in here, won't we? I'll have to I'll try and clean this up, and then we're gonna have to replace this back bit here, aren't we? It looks like we're gonna have to do a bit on here where it turns the corner, and then obviously we're gonna have to close it in, and the bit on the outside here, and sort out this check strap bit. So we've got some work, but then there we are. You wouldn't want me to be unemployed, would you? Right, this is something I forgot I even had, but I found these in an old bookshop on the Pantiles in Tunbridge Wells years ago. And typical of me, I just thought, I can't not have this lot. So I bought these up. Now, it's just someone's collection of photos it's almost like a scrapbook. And they seem to have, one page of, this is like one page of Chevys and so on, and all sorts. It seems to be these CA number plates, which I think is a South African number plate. This looks like Table Mountain or something, doesn't it? I don't know. But anyway, there's some amazing things in here. All sorts of, look at this, does look sort of like, old South Africa. Anyway, so yeah, there's all sorts of stuff in here, but there's some quite nice things actually. I like the Americana, obviously, and that's quite nice. ACAs, lovely. But you see again on them South African plates, and there, got an Aston. So some Austin, page of Austins, you see. So this is what I'm saying. Little Metropolitan with L plates on, an Atlantic. But they're weird. What's that? CLO. What's that plate? No idea. It'd be interesting to find out. This wonderful coach-built Bentley. Look at that. Like one of the Docker Bentleys almost, isn't it? See, again, a page of Bentleys. So it's almost someone's scrapbook. There's the front of that Bentley. Look at that. It's not one I know, but yeah, it's obviously a thing. Zephyr, like I used to have, and a console. First car was a console like that. Right, so yeah, some interesting bits and pieces in here, all sorts. No idea where it come from, anything about it. The bloke in the bookshop knew nothing about it, a Mercedes. But yes, I thought it jogged my memory. Little Lancia Appia, cute little things they are. Anyway. But the prize of this lot for me is this one. Is this picture of this Pizzerini. So there's loads of stuff in here again. Look, BRM at the motor racing show, all sorts of stuff. More of this looks like to be in England. So I think this is, the chap travelled to England. This is on Italian plates, but it's in London by the looks of it. So all sorts. Lincoln. And look at that Lincoln out, dwarfs the Cortina. And that old Vauxhall, I mean, that Vauxhall was a sort of proper sized car, so was the Cortina. Look at the Lincoln compared to it. But that's when these American cars are cool in England, back then. Probably a embassy car, or, a lot of stuff come over the forces, but I expect that was an embassy car. But yeah, so there's all sorts of little NSU, some Corvette stuff. There you go, the motor show, Auto Bianchi. If you know me, I like me Auto Bianchis, but anyway, there you go. So this is lovely, this beautiful streamlined Mercedes. That's wonderful. You know, where was that? Must have been being displayed somewhere. But then we get into this. So this is my prize. This is it. This Bizzarini 5300 GT. I mean, look at that. Isn't that lovely? Now, someone said that's one of 3 that were sold new in the UK, and they think this is Black Bush. I think they had a drag racing thing there, but I love these rockers walking about with their duffel bags. I used to have a duffel bag like that. Anyway, but yeah, I think that's one of the best of this thing. This is quite nice, Maserati 3500. You know, yeah, there's some really nice things in here. Alpha Super Sprint and the Metropolitan again. Yeah, a little Mini behind it. There's all sorts of things in here. Ferrari Tour de France next to a Aurelia Spider. Again, yeah, Ferrari Superfast at the motor show. Now, that's quite something. Again, Tour de France, Aurelia Spider. This is all in this garage, isn't it? But this is a motor show again. Look at what you know it says. But yeah. So this is yeah. That's quite a special thing. But even the Aurelia Spider, that's a very yeah. And then we get into this. So this is this drag racing thing, and this is 64, definitely 64, because that's when they sent all these American drag cars over to do some displays in the summer to you know, to promote drag racing. I think it was Sidney Allard organised all this, and this is the S&S Willis Coupe, 33 Willis Coupe. Now that is a very famous car in drag racing circles, and that is it's not a Falcon, that'd be a Mercury, but that's a 64 Mercury. I'm sure it is, because I had 64 Falcons and they got a very similar architecture. So, you know, brand new car built as a, you know, drag racing thing. So there's all sorts in here. Very intriguing. I had no idea where it come from. And the guy in the bookshop had no idea. He did say there was some more stuff, but it wasn't there. He'd obviously sold it, which is a shame. But yeah, there you go. But that, I think, is the best picture I've ever seen of yeah, this sort of thing. I just love all that. It's the crowds that make these things. The cars are lovely, of course they are, but it's when you have these period shots of a period crowd and how it looks, you know, that's what I like, you know, the humanity of it. And you know, they're all having a good old nose at it, aren't they? You know, what was the opportunity to see something like that? It'd be like, you know, it's like a UFO turning up, isn't it? It's an amazing thing. Yeah. So these have a Chevy 350 in them. And if you know much about Chevy V8s, the distributor's at the back of the engine. So that's how you sort of, all the hot rodders tell, you know, Chevy engine's got the distributor at the back of the engine, which makes it bloody awkward to work on. Whereas the Fords have it at the front of the engine, and it's right in the middle. So in these, because they have the engine so set back, so although it's a front engine, they call it front mid-engine. They set the engine so far back in the chassis for handling that to get to the distributor, you have to get to it through the dashboard. So they have a hatch on the dashboard that you open up to get to it, which I think is amazing. I've always made me laugh, that did. But anyway, there you go. That was when it first switched me onto these Bizzarini and so on, was that idea of how they did that. And then of course it was the ISO, wasn't it? It turned into the ISO Griffo and things like that. But anyway, that's a different, anyway, I don't know enough about it. I won't keep wobbling on about it. But anyway, there you go. That's enough of that. Got lots to do. But I'm not doing any more tonight. I'll say good night.
Catch it, put it in a jar to have and to hold, to save for later. You cannot trust it to come again, to wait for you to find a pen and fill the paper with the message that it wants to send. Grab it, hold it by its tail before it escapes. You know its ways and you cannot lose it, that's what you fear. So hold it up against your ear and very carefully listen to what it wants you to hear. Whoa, 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 Find it sleeping in its nest before it wakes up. Touch it gently, you want it feeling completely calm, so you can hold it in your palm and help it grow just like it was born to be. Calm, 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 calm. Whoa, whoa,